Hello, my dear friends, my dear gods, my dear masters, my dear angels. Welcome to the day 16 of the 21-day plant-based challenge, my dear friends. How are you guys feeling today? How are you all feeling today? Being the day 16 of your really religiously challenge that you have taken, all of you. And I'm so very, very, very proud of you that you have taken this experiment on yourself, that you have taken this challenge upon yourself to try completely plant-based food for 21 days, my dear friends. I hope you're all now aware of all the things, all the facts, and the myths that are debunked. And we are ready to talk to yet another wonderful human being, wonderful person today. We have an amazing guest. Rather, we have amazing guests today from Macedonia, Europe, my dear friends. A long, long, long way on the other side of the world. So, with technology in hand, I don't think any place is farther from home. So here, I welcome Milena and Nicola, our dear, dear, dear friends from Europe. And we would love to hear their story and their plant-based journey and their spiritual journey and how it has impacted their life. So join me in welcoming Milena to this program, and thank you so much for joining us today in this wonderful program. We would love to hear about you, about your journey, and truly everything in essence. So welcome, Milena.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. I cannot even believe that I'm hearing my name. It's such a huge honor to even be in your presence, to be in your energy frequencies, because I have never had such an amazing experience with kind and calm humans until I met Madhu and Ram, and they entered my life as God's messengers. It's absolutely true that you guys came into my life as a result of my prayer or meditation for help. So it's a great honor. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for listening to me. It's a wonderful day here in Germany. It's by some kind of a coincidence so sunshining and warm. I believe we're all surprised because the weather was not our friend in the past couple of weeks or even months. And I'm here to tell you my story or our story. My husband will be joining us hopefully in shortly. And our story, it's a spiritual journey. And as I already mentioned, and the people who know me, I have been working on my book, and the book is called Spiritual Motherhood. And the reason for the title is because my spiritual journey is still going on, just like everybody else's, with the exception that I have come to such a high levels of understanding of life and our purpose in life that I can gladly now share it and maybe be an example for your own understanding of how life should look like. You are so unique, just like every one of us, and so different from me that my version of life is absolutely wrong for you. It's just the story of a drop in the sea of how the whole picture of our world could look like, and everyone has to decide for themselves. And my message is always that the choice is ours. The reason why our choices are hindered, and especially now in these past 12 months, one can see that the basic reason why people make the wrong choices in life, it's not only about food, the wrong spiritual choices, let's say, is fear. And fear comes from not knowing. not knowing who you are. If we all just heard somewhere, that at least I'm speaking for myself, if I heard somewhere someone whispering to me, look, this is how life should look like, I think throughout visualizing it, I would have been able to find the road. Or I think that the cosmic energies bring you to the right people at the right places. I was so unconscious, I was so spiritually dead, that I brought my life, including my husband, who I love dearly, both of our children, in such physical misery, to suffer through hospitals, through needles, through chemical injuries. My son was 17 times vaccinated in Macedonia, each time with a cocktail, and that's only within the first 2 years of his life. So I completely destroyed the health of my children. Obviously, the spiritual health was a total destruction. And without judging, I'm trying to share the facts. And at the first step of problem solving, whenever a problem occurs, the first step is not accepting it. So say, no, let's take like a smoker says, no, it's not a big deal, it's okay. Then the second step of awareness is saying, well, maybe everybody's been telling me I should do something about it. And then the third step is, of course, asking for help. And the fourth step would be doing something about it. So, but if you don't make the first step of saying there is a problem, you could never take the other three steps and actually solve the problem. In order to make the first step, you have to know the truth. If you do not know the truth, I cannot help you. There is nobody that can help you in finding the truth. That is your own personal, unique spiritual path. I share here my truth. It does not necessarily have to mean it's yours, but I think that our story can help a lot of people in discovering their own truth, because at the end of the story, even though we're at other sides of the world, we're all humans here. We're not different species, okay? This is what I share when we talk about diet. Some people say, well, I'm big, or I do sports, or I don't know, people have all kinds of excuses, and they say, well, I have to eat meat. And then I say the following: I have 2 hands and 2 eyes. And it's the exact same situation with you. That means that this machine and your machine are the same, and they work on the same fuel. You cannot put diesel in a gas car. It's not gonna go. You cannot put water in a car and expect it to run. It's not gonna run. And this is the same with our bodies. I believe we're on a different spiritual journey. So, for example, if I eat 1 watermelon today, of course you're not gonna eat the same thing, because you're a different person. But this body is made to live on fruits. And our journey is a very painful one. It started in 2012. In May 2012, I was 3 months pregnant with our daughter. Our son was 3 years old, and the neighbor's son died at the age of 9 from lymphoma or some kind of a cancer. And at that time, I was unaware that the only way a child can get cancer is if the child is vaccinated or consumes dairy, or both in this case. And the child died, and these people were so relatively close to us, close friends. And my husband said to me, I'm not going to go to the funeral, but I have to go and comfort them the night before the funeral. And I begged him. I said, Nicola, please do not go to see a dead child. It's going to bring a lot of negative energy to you. It's not something we can take. We have a baby at home and a baby on the way, and so on. He still took the strength and went. And not only did he find compassion for the parents, but he also prepared the dead body of the child for the funeral. And when he came home, he was so disturbed, and he said, if any of our children or any one of us in the family ever gets sick, we're completely going to change our diet. And we did not. we just went on. We just went on with eating everything. We were not eating totally unhealthy, but because most of the food was local and relatively, let's say, clean, not genetically modified. But my specialty was filled rabbit. And my husband was always disgusted by dead animals in the house. And he said, you know what, I don't like the meat. But aside from the meat, I ate a lot of eggs, a lot of dairy, and a lot of grains. So a lot of gluten. 2 months later, in July, our son starts getting some symptoms of kidney insufficiency, and we took him to the doctor. By the way, you have to know that we were pressured by our environment, by the family, to go to doctors, because doctors were considered God, that they know everything, they can fix your problems. So we took our son to the doctors in Macedonia, and that was a disaster situation. They gave us a diagnosis that he has a genetic autoimmune disease. And I have a bad word for that. I call it BS disease, because it's really, really nonsense. It makes no sense. It's like, there was one Dr. John Bergman. He says that the modern doctors say, my car is red, I must be healthy. I'm not going with a judgment. I'm just going with a differentiation that every one of us has to make a difference. So how in the world am I supposed to ask for help from a very, very unhealthy person? So imagine you go to a doctor, the doctor is super sick. Or imagine you go to a dentist, and the dentist has no teeth. And you're thinking, maybe I should not open the mouth to you. Because we all have to lead by example. And for me, being an example for somebody else or sharing the story took me a long time. This is why my book has not been finished for 2 years now, that I did not have the strength from self-judgment and not being able to differentiate and have the strength to share the story without hurting anybody else. So Madhu showed up in my life and invited me for meditation at the point where I thought that I have nothing else to lose, because I had lost already both of my children through misery and suffering in the hospitals in Macedonia, in Belgrade, in Serbia, and then here in Germany. And when I started doing meditation, I felt that that was my only way forward, that if I keep on doing, I will find the way, because I was very much lost. And I don't know if you know the song. It's usually it's a very, very spiritual song for me, and probably one of the most beautiful songs ever written in the world. It's called Amazing Grace. And Amazing Grace says, I once was lost, but now I'm found. And what that means is that while we changed our diet in 2012, we went through such a miserable surrounding, people judging us about where are you going to get calcium, where are you going to get B12, you will die from not eating meat or eggs, and all kinds of very, very negative things. And this is the message I'm trying to, I love all those people dearly, but they're not part of my life. And the reason why they're not part of my life is because they have not accepted me. And I felt weak enough to a point where I lost both of my kids, that I cannot save the world. It's not my job to save everybody. If you do not participate in some kind of a minimum activity that is compatible with my lifestyle, then you cannot be a part of my life. Just imagine, I don't know, a murderer. Why would you have a murderer around you, or a criminal, or any kind of other person that you know you cannot take the strength to change? It is not your job to change. The only job is to change yourself, and the environment is of crucial importance. So a year and a half ago, when we were getting ready to go to Egypt, me and my husband, we were discussing how are we supposed to live. We're going to go to Egypt, we're going to do meditation, we're going to see the pyramids, we're going to see what in that reality was the beginning of the world, you know, because of the Old Testament and the ancient cultures and the Egyptian history being heavily promoted. where Egypt actually opened another door, another level of spirituality for both of us, but primarily the door to heaven opened widely. Why? Because I said there is something wrong again with our lifestyle. It's not only the diet. Sure, we change. We don't eat any animal products. I don't generally eat industrial food, and there is something more to it. And at that time, I discovered the Anastasia books. It was parallel. A lot of things happening parallel. Then Madhu and Ram bought the books and shared them with everybody, which was also very amazing. That finally the right people, or the people from what I call my final destination, were around me. And that final destination, dear friends, for every one of us is heaven. And if you have the vision of heaven throughout your meditations, you will find the path. Something is going to bring you onto your final destination. And sometimes we need a push, sometimes we need more energy. We're up and down and high and low, and it's a journey, it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that lasts for years. Most of us will not get to the final destination until we actually are gone from this body. We have violated way too many spiritual laws in order to be able to repair the damage, let's say, in this lifetime. So if we accept the process of spiritual journey, and if we accept that our final destination is heaven, we will suddenly start to see the signs which will lead us to this final destination. So what does heaven look like? Heaven has been in the mythology in everyone's culture and history. But to me personally, and I believe that all of you will agree, heaven is a garden. It's the place where people are not possessed by the environment, but where they live in harmony with the environment. And that means, in regards to food, that we eat only the food that is available to us in a garden. So the foods that are available in a garden are not foods that can be cooked. There is one, first of all, I don't even want to discuss the plant-based background, because murder is wrong on any way. And the dairy products, the only way to get the dairy products is if we steal the milk from the animal mother. So if you put pumps on my breast right now, you will get also milk. And the only way that I would produce milk right now is not through pumping, but it's through producing the milk from my own baby. And that is the only reason why an animal produces milk. There's no other reason why a cow or a sheep or whoever produces milk. A female breasts are producing milk only for her baby. And the only way to get to any dairy product is by stealing that milk, that mother's milk, from another species on top of that. So from another being, whether it's a human or it's an animal, it doesn't make a difference. You're stealing the milk of an innocent baby.
Absolutely.
Yes, and eggs, for example, when I asked in 2012, I met with Dr. Slađana Velkov, who has spent a lot of time. She's an actual doctor who noticed that she's hurting her patients through prescribing whatever she was prescribing. And she switched to 100% raw food diet, and she spent a lot of time in India. And Dr. Slađana Velkov is fighting against vaccination in all the Balkan countries, in Serbia, and in Macedonia, and in Croatia. And when I met her in Skopje in 2012 and 2013, while my son was in the hospital, it was a very disturbing time for me. And I asked her, and I said, why not eggs? Because the nutritionist who told us to switch to a plant-based diet, she suggested to give our son eggs because the eggs bring a lot of proteins. He had kidney insufficiency and he was losing a lot of the proteins through the kidneys. So, and he needed dialysis and the whole mess in the medical system. But the nutritionist, she suggested maybe once a week fish, and maybe every day one egg but I even forgot the name of those birds. They're very small birds, and the eggs are this small. They're very small eggs. One egg per day so that he can recover and have more proteins and iron, or I don't know, the rest of the stuff in the egg. And when I asked her, I said, why not eggs? I have heard of the plant-based and raw food diet. You know what the answer was? Eggs are liquid meat. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. That really makes sense. And the biggest, now when I tell the people, meat is obvious. If I tell you don't eat meat, I don't need to explain it to you. But when I start to explain to people that eggs and dairy are the more dangerous products, because eggs and dairy go in sweet and in salty and in sour and in everything. You put eggs in a cake, you put eggs in a whatever. So the mess with the eggs and the dairy was a really big challenge for us, because the meat was easy to accept. We don't live close to the sea, and even if we did, we're not fishermen. So the fish part, the last time I tried fish was 3 years ago, and then I was really, really sick. It was an emotional situation where I have not seen a friend for 15 years, and he insisted that takes me to a special fish restaurant in Croatia. And I ate somehow the fish, but after that I was sick for 2 weeks. And the reason why I was sick is because my body is so clean right now that putting anything that's poisonous for the body will of course react and try to protect themselves. It's a habit. It's a question of habit, and it's a question of knowing, like I repeat myself over and over again. If you know where your final destination is, then you will find the way. In 2015, for my birthday on 16th of April, in Heidelberg in Germany, there were posters everywhere that there will be a lecture about vegan eating, vegan diet. And by coincidence, well, there is no coincidences, but a few hours prior to seeing these posters, I was in a bookstore in the old town. And in the bookstore, they were promoting a book from Jan During, is his name. So Jan used to be one of the managers of the Mercedes-Benz or whatever big company. He had a swimming pool, a huge house, and lots of money. And one day his wife took the kids and left him. And he stopped working and went through a lot of self-work, let's say. And he meets, after a few years probably, he realized that he has nothing valuable in life, that he has no wife and kids, and his health was deteriorating. And he, a few years later, he meets a woman who is a vegetarian, and they are still married now. It's been over 20 years. And they start a chain of supermarkets, and they change to vegan lifestyle, and it's called Vegans. And it's a very well-known brand all over Germany. I'm not sure if they're exporting, but the Vegans has different. First of all, the supermarkets contain only organic food and only local food, or generally local food, and everything is vegan. So I saw his book in the bookstore, and then a few hours later, I'm walking on the streets and I see a big poster. He will be giving a lecture in Heidelberg on vegan lifestyle. So I immediately went, and as a present for my birthday, I bought myself a ticket. And what happened there at the lecture, okay, we all listened to Jan, it was all great, but there was another person next to him. And this person was 140 kilos or even more. He was huge. And he had no throat because the doctors cut off his throat and put a machine so that he can make noise, or so that you can hear him when he speaks. And he said that he switched to veganism because he wanted to protect the environment and the animals, and that we don't have to hurt anyone with our diet. We can simply eat chips and cola and not hurt the animals. And when I heard that, first of all, nobody wanted to listen to him. It was very difficult to hear him, first of all, because of his machine and because he did not have a voice. But nobody wanted to listen after that, because we were in shock that somebody could hurt himself so bad with diet only with the excuse to protect animals. And now, after how many, 5-6 years later, I am at the point where I realized that the reason for hurting ourselves is fear And the reason for hurting ourselves is not knowing. When you do not know who you are. And the only way to realize this is to being calm with yourself, being with your breath. So at this point, I came home in 2015 after the lecture, and I told my husband, if somebody asks whether we're vegans, I'm going to say no. I'm not vegan because that guy is vegan. I don't want to be like that guy. And people put a lot of cliches. We have had a lot of fun stories. Like they come to me and they're like, so as a vegan, can you eat, I don't know, let's say fish or something? And then I'm like, no, I can eat anything I want. The choice is solely on my side. So this is, dear friends, the most important message I want to share, that the choice is yours. And then people ask me, but you know, I'm always hungry. I'm like, eat. We live in abundance, especially Germany. I know in India you guys have mangoes on the streets, but the point is we live in a tremendous abundance of everything that one can imagine. And the choice is, when you walk into a supermarket, what do you take? Do you take the bananas or do you take the chips? I don't even want to discuss the animal products. This is the point of my spiritual journey where I have come. And this is why last year I switched to 100% raw food diet. I have known and heard of this lifestyle for a very long time. I did not have the strength to implement it. And I believe, I'm actually convinced, that almost any illness in this world can be healed, or at least recovered to a point where it doesn't hurt your daily life. The problem is the switch. The switch is, again, knowing how are we supposed to live. So before our trip to Egypt in 2019, me and my husband stopped and said, okay, how are we supposed to live? We don't care how we're going to get there. We don't care if it's going to be in India or in Bali or whatever place in the world. How are we supposed to live? Because there is one mutual ground for all humans, and these machines work on the same fuel. So we said, okay, we're supposed to eat 100% raw food diet. We did not change immediately. That was in the summer 2019. It took me another 4 months to realize, okay, I can make that change. I can make the choice. So that was the first thing, that we have to eat 100% raw food diet. The second move was, where is the food going to come from? Yeah, sure, the bananas have to come from somewhere south. But do I have to eat bananas, or can I eat only local food? And this is when we established that we want to have a farm for our own organic plant-based food. Then we discussed the location, and my husband's choice was home, where we've been born and we have lived most of our lives, and that is Macedonia. And then it had to be a choice of transition. So we could not switch overnight. First of all, we did not have the money to, we could not even visualize where are we going to get almost 100,000 euros to construct all this. Miraculously, now it's 1.5 years later, and we have our property. It's on our name. This next week, we will get the construction permission, and the property has already, my husband planted in 2020 a whole orchard. That means we have over 50 trees. 35 are fruits, and 20 trees are nuts. Beautiful. And then there will be a graveyard, grapes, vineyard, and kiwi, and the rest of the little gardening for fruits and veggies.
Absolutely beautiful, amazing.
And this is the thing that, this is what we discussed today in the car while driving around. And I said, do you remember just 1 year ago, before the whole Corona started, do you remember how afraid I was that we're not going to have money to purchase the land? And not did we purchase the land, not did God bring us to roads where we earned enough money for the land and all the gardening, but we have almost all the savings right now to construct the house. And you're all more than welcome and always invited. Our home is always open for good people and people who are on their journey. And this is what we want to do in the future. We want to make our home a sanctuary for people who want to. It's a step for a spiritual journey. And for example, we talked about making the roof a pyramid. But that's not something my husband is ready to accept at the moment. He said, no, it's enough that I'm going to make it like this. And I'm like, okay, wait a second, what are we constructing here? So we're taking each step on this spiritual journey of how we are supposed to live, easy and slowly and with the pace of our internal feeling. This goes very well for the food. The diet, you could change. I just discovered last year Dr. Arnold Ehret, which was a German doctor who promoted mucusless diet. So it's not only plant-based, it's not only raw, but we're talking about mucusless diet. And he divides the foods that you bring anywhere on the body into mucus forming, light mucus forming, as are potatoes, for example, and mucus-free foods. The foods that are so I would like to share this link. Maybe Madhu and Ram have already the books, and maybe we can actually find them online. It's called Mucusless Diet by Dr. Arnold Ehret. There's many more which we can share, and one of the things, I'm not sure if they're listening today, but all the doctors from the Florida's Hippocrates Health Institute, if you're listening, you're my role models, you're my heroes, you're my inspiration, and I really would hope that one day we can meet in person. It goes the same with Dr. Charlotte Gerson and her father, who 100 years ago set up the Gerson diet and the Gerson Institute. So there's a lot of amazing people where we discussed. Bianca, she's my new hero. Bianca is following Dr. Morse and the healing journey of the raw foods and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is that I'm not sure who it was. 1 second.
No, I just spotlighted you. Not
okay. The amazing journey is that you should not make extreme moves. And this is what I experienced when I met our master, Patriji, here in Germany, when he told me that everyone is required, before making any kind of choice or decision, that you have to sit down and meditate for an hour. And just try it and see what happens. Unflexible people are not my best friends right now, because I do not have the strength to excuse myself, try to explain to them why they need to do it, and then there's the opposing, and then the quarrel is the final result from strange people, let's say, who are not awakened to a point. And this is why it's such a huge honor to be talking to you, to somebody who wants to listen. And that, unfortunately, I learned that also from Patriji, that it does not necessarily are the people who are your closest relatives or blood relatives and family. Usually random people, and nowadays with technology, thanks God, we can contact anyone, anywhere in the world. So I have been following these people from all over the world in regards to the raw food diet. And there is one very, very important point, and that is not to make sudden moves. That means, so not to make sudden moves, meaning in the plant-based world. Removing animal products, that's a imperative. There's nothing to discuss, and I believe that everyone listening today is not a part of any kind of something went wrong here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
All right. Yeah. So anyone being a part of our gathering today does not need to explain why we need to go on a plant-based diet. And the terminology of plant-based is so scary that like I told you, I tell people I'm not vegan. I eat healthy, and healthy happen to be vegan.
Yes.
So there is no discussion in that. There is no doctor, even this insane society here in the Western world, let's say, who would recommend you eating, I don't know, grill grilled meats in order to be healthy. If a sick person goes to any kind of reasonable human being in this world will tell you, okay, try a little bit of extracts or teas or berries and other superfoods. So we clean up the point of where we need to stop any kind of animal products or any kind of industrial products for that matter. Even if it's, like I said, even if it's Coca-Cola, do I really need to tell you to stop drinking that? No, it's obvious. It's like smoking. Do I need to tell you need to stop smoking? Of course, I don't need to explain that. That's an obvious human stability. And when I started doing meditation, that is something that enlightened in front of my eyes. So everyone, please continue with your calmness. Please continue with your understanding of yourself through meditation a couple of times per day. It doesn't work. I've tried Orthodox monks. I've tried Tibetan monks in Switzerland. You need it 2 times per day minimum. It doesn't work, or at least it didn't work for me if you try to find a shortcut. You get up in the morning, you meditate for at least half an hour, 20 minutes, or whatever time you can find. You go to bed in the evening, you stop and you meditate. You don't go and fall asleep right away. So I don't think I need to teach you meditation. You guys are much bigger experts than me. So when you know that you have to switch to 100% raw food diet, and if you do it overnight, it would be like taking all of your clothes and all of your dishes and everything that you have in the closets out, and then you cannot get out from your home because you will make congestions practically. And that's exactly what happens in the body. If you start, let's say, drinking juices and you switch to 100% raw food diet overnight, there will be so much congestion in your body from all the poisons coming out at once from your liver, from your pancreas, from your brain even. The raw foods are so powerful, like the berries or even some of the mushrooms, that they have such huge power to extract heavy metals out of your internal organs that you will get a lot of the symptoms of being very, very sick. And this is where people give up and say, okay, this is not for me. Because we have been way too much brainwashed about the packaged food, about the cooked foods, and about the foods that are totally unnatural. So how to get to the final destination? You have to follow your own path. I can help you by sharing my story. I don't feel an expert. You need to find maybe a doctor, maybe an experienced person like the guys at the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. They have decades and decades of experience of healing people. We're not talking about sometimes exceptions. Maybe I'll drink a glass of wine. That's very rare. That's maybe 2 times per year. Maybe I will have baked potatoes. Oh, is it okay to eat some grains and hummus and this? Yeah, sure. Everything is fine as long as you're healthy. And that means not living at your fullest, obviously, but being healthy to a point where it's not disturbing your daily activities. If you're very sick or even a little sick, you need to stop that. You cannot afford to make any more unnatural choices, because the other way, as I personally learned, is the very, very miserable one. So in order to get to the 100% raw food diet, I switched in a few months thinking about it, and then I wrote the decision because I had severe bleeding, menstrual bleeding, and I had all kinds of hormonal disbalance because I could not stop eating potatoes and rice and grains and breads and gluten and maybe even sugar from time to time, raffinated sugar. And I switched overnight because it was very painful. My body was aching. I thought I was dying. I had out-of-body experience from the excruciating pain in my stomach. So I said, okay, something is wrong with this diet. I need to stop. And I've known for 7 years about the raw food diet. Now it's time to try. So I've listened to all kinds of gurus who suggest doing juice fast, water fast, dry fast. There's all kinds of decisions which bring people even to the wrong point. I personally suggest following these experienced masters in switching diet, in the transitioning diets, where you do not do it overnight. And I believe that somebody here listening to me right now would agree, because if you do it too fast, the chances are you're not gonna hold on for the rest of your life. My husband, I believe he had corona in December. He got very ill he overworked himself. And instinctively, because we have known about these things for such a long time, for 2 weeks, he drank only freshly squeezed, mainly orange juice. There were other things to squeeze, like celery and cucumbers and carrots, and of course, apples and all the other fruits and veggies. But the main thing was lemons and oranges, because they were in season in December in this part of the world, let's say. And after 2 weeks, he was fully recovered, fully regenerated, and very much without any possible symptoms. His skin cleared. I think his hair started growing again. I know Ram's gonna laugh about this, but it was fun to watch him, that under so much pressure and pain, he said, okay, I need to stop working. He stopped working for 2 weeks, which is not normal. Normally he's bringing his body to a complete exhaustion from work daily. That he stopped for 2 weeks and took only juices and did a complete body, let's say, makeover. I don't suggest that, especially not to people who have been eating animal products, because the side effects of such a strong detox can be very overwhelming, and people end up in hospitals usually because the toxins come out of the body too fast. So switching to 100% raw food diet should be gradual, in my opinion. Gradual meaning making 1 day of the week 100% raw food. That means eating unlimited amount of fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The mistake that I made at the beginning, I ate too much nuts and seeds. For example, I would make cakes and enjoy the dates and the natural sugars. And that was just something that I needed at that moment. But later I realized that is hurting me. That is too much. It's not giving me enough energy, or I'm very soon satisfied with the fats from the nuts that I cannot eat the rest of my fruits for the day. So the biggest mistake that I made, and the reason why I lost my daughter, is that I was not feeding her nor myself enough. So if something is healthy, let's take an apple. There is no limit of how much you should eat, the maximum, but there is a limit of the minimum. If you do not eat 30 apples per day as a grown-up human, your body will have problems. You need to eat, every one of you, I don't care how big you are or how small you are, you need to put in your body 2,000 calories. It's the simplest and the easiest explanation of diet. You have to put 2,000 calories. I know calories are irrelevant when you live in nature, that's clear. But right now, in our sophisticated modern world, we have to talk with numbers and facts. And that is the reason why I lost my daughter. There is the reason why my body was deteriorating, because I was not inputting 2,000 calories. Now, the question is, what kind of 2,000 calories? I always tell people, so what is the most natural way to live and eat? And I tell people through a little metaphor, think about Tarzan. Do you know Tarzan, the cartoon?
Yes.
Yes. So what does Tarzan eat? Tarzan lives with the gorillas. He can fight the leopard and the crocodiles. And what does Tarzan eat? Tarzan jumps all day long from tree to tree. So he's extremely physically active, unlike our sedative lifestyle in front of the computers. So Tarzan jumps all day long. So he jumps on an apple tree or a banana tree. He eats like 20 bananas. Then he jumps onto the next tree. He eats pineapples. And then onto the next tree and eats mangoes. And that means that he eats mono meals. Mono meals, he does not mix. There is no way Tarzan would eat watermelon and nuts, because watermelons grow in August and walnuts grow in October. So Tarzan could never mix those two things. Just imagine, even if you are on a raw food diet, imagine eating a raw cake. We're mixing so many things that in nature are not found. At the beginning, it's okay, of course, but again, you have to know your final destination. And if the final destination is to live and eat naturally, like in paradise, in heaven, that means living like Tarzan, okay? Being physically active, not caring much about technology, not caring about what the others are going to say, because Tarzan is being accepted by his environment the way he is, and he is the best version of a human being. He's healthy, he's never sick. Tarzan has never been vaccinated. Tarzan has never had an injection. Tarzan doesn't have a cooking equipment at home for burning things, and he does not hurt the other animals. He does not hurt the other species around him.
It's a very good example.
Excuse me?
That's a very good example.
Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds like a joke, when I tell people you should eat like Tarzan. Tarzan is the strongest human in the planet. I know, maybe it's a myth, it doesn't matter. But Tarzan comes from a place in Africa where some scientists consider that the world started, or where heaven was and humanity spread from there. It doesn't matter. So that was my journey. I switched to 100% raw food diet until the whole corona started, and through the first lockdown until the summer, everything was fine. And then my husband came very disturbed because we were separated for 4 months, and he would invite people over and have parties, and then sometimes we would eat baked potatoes. Like yesterday I ate some baked potatoes. There was no burnt fats, and I like to eat corn, usually frozen corn, or I eat a lot of peas, and we make sometimes even raw hummus from chickpeas. But the thing that I'm still addicted to are potatoes, and I cannot give them up. I still have a problem with the potatoes. The bread, I eat bread with gluten or without, very rarely. In the past 6 months, maybe like 5 times. But I noticed that it hurts me. It bloats me. I gain weight. The neighbors ask me if I'm pregnant. I'm like, yeah, with bread. I have a piece of bread in my stomach, and it just like explodes and swallows, and there's water retention and so on and so forth. I don't think I need to explain you sugar. I mean, sugar is very much obvious that raffinated sugar is it's a ridiculous product invented by crazy humans. If you eat dates, that's just enough sweetness for the whole day. So I have the tendency to eat like at least 10 dates per day, and then there's the bananas and the rest of the sweet fruits. And if you distance yourself from the mainstream promoted products, you will see that the most beautiful products for humans are the fresh fruits. I mean, just think of the mango. For me, mango is like a peach, or for Europeans, they would say, but the mango comes from far away, and this, yeah, okay, if it comes from far away, you have on the streets in Germany apple trees. Eat an apple. It's so sweet, it's so nurturing, it's so refreshing, it's so hydrating that you have absolutely no need to eat, to look further for your nutritional needs. My major problem, as I told you, and I repeat myself over and over again, and because it still happens to me, I get distracted by my environment. We have not moved to Macedonia yet. It's going to happen very soon, hopefully in a couple of months. The environment distracts me to a point where I forget to eat. It doesn't matter healthy or non-healthy. If you forget to eat, it's a problem. And if you're doing a fast, the fast has to be very much spiritual. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to stop eating or drink only water or drink only juices and still go to work and still overwork my body or still do my sports and still run around errands. That's not going to work. A fast in the Bible, Jesus gives an advice how you can heal a problem or solve a problem or heal a sickness. And he says any sickness, but literally any sickness, can be solved through prayer, through meditation, and fasting. But a lot of the Bible versions, and that's very scary, happened in the Catholic world mainly. They removed the part of fasting. They say that Jesus advised that any problem can be solved through prayer, period. Prayer has to go together with fasting. You can pray like some of the doctors. You can repeat the Jesus' prayer. You can meditate until you're completely gone. But if you do not fast, you can go blue in your face if you don't mean it from deep inside. And that is taking care of your physical body. And taking care of the physical body does not mean going to the fitness club. That's not taking care of the physical body. You cannot eat disgusting packaged foods, even if it's plant-based, because now it's fashionable to be vegan. There's vegan sausages, there's vegan burgers, and the rest of the nonsense that humans do. You cannot contribute to well-being to this planet unless you take care of yourself first. And you have to stop lying to yourself. No, it's not okay to eat bread. It's hurting your body. End of the story. It's not okay to eat cooked food. It is hurting your body. It's bringing lower energy. You can be on a much higher energy if you simply ate the foods that are surrounding you in the nature. If you're in the city, you're in the wrong place. It's not okay to live in the big cities. It's not okay to not have natural waters. It's not okay to be surrounded with so much pollution. And people pretend that it's okay. And because they are in fear that they will not be accepted. And this is something that I shared with Patriji when I said that I am responsible for the death of my children. He said, that's the fear. That is the fear. Somebody convinced you that you are the bad mother. No, you're a good being. You're a wonderful being. You're just on the road and you have to know your final destination.
I completely agree on that.
So thank you so much for listening to me. I don't think I want to keep you any longer unless you have anything specific that we can, of course, discuss. And you have all of my contacts. You're welcome to contact us anytime, even if it's the middle of the night. If anybody needs help, especially Nicola is very keen in Macedonia trying to help people. I don't even want to discuss about any kind of remuneration. That's out of our discussion. We freely give our knowledge and share our experience for those who want to listen. And unfortunately, those are not most of our closest relatives. That's why we have discovered new families, new people in our lives. And I really hope that you can all accept me as a part of your family, somebody who would love to contribute without hurting anyone.
You are already a part of the family, Milena. You are so much a part of the family, and we accept you with wholeheartedness, with open arms into our family, into our hearts. You're such a special person. I mean, you are. I was just speaking to Ram, that saying that she is an angel. She's an absolute angel, and the way you have led your life and the way you have realized and you have awakened to the truth, that itself shows that you're an angel. And you're such a unique person that I am proud to have associated with you in whatever platform it is. I'm really happy to be associated with you, and to have shared your knowledge and wisdom, and your experiences are absolutely amazing.
Thank you again. I cannot be more grateful, and showing you with all my grace, with all my possession, everything that's in my power, trying to impress people with what it means to be a natural human, a normal human, not new normal, not
Yes.
old normal, a new normal human.
Yeah. So
and that is free of disease. I want you to know that a normal human is a human without problems. It's normal for us to live without pain. It's normal to laugh. It's normal to cry as well sometimes. It's normal to have the whole roller coaster of emotions, because this is a journey. This is not an end of anything. It's just the beginning of a beautiful journey. Time and space do not exist in heaven. And I keep on, for example, Jesus and the Essenes, the book that Ram actually sent me, and that was one of the books that changed my life, where it showed that Jesus was neither a Christian, Jesus was not, he never ate meat, and people never discussed that. They're like, oh, we're Christians. How are you Christian? How are you? Which part of the Jesus story are you following? So they just talk vain things, and I know a lot of the propaganda has been about covering the facts. But in that book, Jesus and the Essence, the writer Dolores, she in one of her lectures, which I watch on YouTube, it's so fun. She says, think about time, that it's a human thing. It's made by humans. It does not exist in heaven. And if I call from New York, if I call London in England, are they going to get the message 6 hours later just because humans said that in London it's 1 o'clock and in New York is 7, or vice versa? It doesn't matter. No, they will get the message now. That means time does not exist. Time is a human thing. It's a human made up story. And if you accept that this um, state of being in this realm has no time and has no space, that everything else, like David Icke says, only true love is reality. Everything else is an illusion. And if you share that true love, you will see that the whole world, just like in the Anastasia books, the whole world will come to a point where we all want to have a garden or plant something, plant a little thing, even if you're in an apartment. Yeah, sure, we cannot all switch to big gardens overnight. Now, last year I planted my whole balcony. And when I showed my husband pictures, because he was locked down in Macedonia, he could not come to Germany. He said, what's going on there? And I said, in Germany, tomatoes are growing. And our belief was that tomatoes can grow only in the south. And when I saw fig trees in Germany, because I started interacting with the plants, I was so alone that I realized, okay, there's always somebody living around me, and those are my plants. And I was so successful. Normally, I was successful in making money in the big corporations because I have a lot of education and so on and so forth. And then I said, this with the plants, it's not going to work. I'm not a gardener. I have 2 university degrees. I can just sit and program the whole day in front of the computer. That's my job. And when I saw the tomatoes growing, all of a sudden, some kind of a relatively unknown people came into my life, started bringing plants. One guy has a garden there. Another person has trees or vegetables. And they started bringing me their plants and their produce. And I said, okay, I'll try it on my balcony. And my balcony is small. It's not a big deal. It's 8 square meters. And the balcony and the living room and the kitchen, everything was full of plants, and they were actually growing. They empowered me so much. And I said, wow, I can contribute to life. And that was the only reason why I wanted to become a mother. I always wanted children. That's not even a question, but I wanted to become a mother, to be a part of the big picture of contributing to life, bringing life to this world. And when I lost the kids, I lost their bodies. I lost the battle over their bodies, and I completely lost the support from the divine energies that I can create life. I felt that I am something that needs to die, that I'm dying off, and I'm never going to exist again. And I think that one of the reasons that I'm still alive is Madhu and Ram teaching me about meditation. And now I see, from the distance, I can see that the messenger was there. I only needed to open up and accept the whole beautiful love that comes from the universe for every one of us. And as soon as you open up, and I'm sure about, I believe in humanity. Okay, I don't want to talk about David Icke. A lot of people call him conspiracy theorist. He talks about the reptile. So those very, very bad people, let's take Nazis, for example, who murdered humans, not only other species, but humans themselves, or pedophiles, or any kind of miserable being. He said that we have to make a difference, that that's not a human being, that is a species from, he calls them reptiles, that those are species that come from a very different source of energy. And unfortunately, they are in human bodies, and we have to realize that they exist, that the bad things are around us. We don't have to focus on them. We can absolutely ignore them, because we fill ourselves with so much beauty and so many beautiful surroundings, that sooner or later the negativities become irrelevant. You accept them, and they feel repelled. When this is what I felt last year. I ate the raw food diet for months, for like 6 months, and I came to a point that I realized that most of my negative relatives who were against me having a garden, they were like, "What? You're gonna have a garden? That makes no sense. You're so educated. You're in such a high position in big companies. Blah 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 blah." And I said, "What are they talking about? They were trying. These negative forces are trying to pull me out of my heaven on earth project, the path." And I said, "What are they talking about? They don't. You're in Germany. Stay in Germany. Germany is the most beautiful place in the world. Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Wait, what are you talking about? My kids died here." So it's not about the space, and it's not about the time. It's about the realization that there's no space and time, that there is only true love. And when you share that true love, you will see how beautiful harmony you have with everything that's around you. Even if it's like I said, negative forces, you pretty much ignore them, and they feel repelled. After some time, you do not get in contact with anything that's negative. And this is what happened to us 2012 when we switched almost overnight to a plant-based diet. We noticed the symptoms of all the illnesses that our son was diagnosed prior to that, they vanished in 1 week. 1 week, we stopped the dairy, the meat, the bread, the eggs, and everything. We stopped it, and he stopped having all of the symptoms. So I strongly encourage everybody to not even think about the plant-based diet, but to really focus and read into the raw food diet, because that is our final destination.
Beautiful, Milena. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us such wisdom and knowledge and sharing your life with us. You have literally shared your life with us, and we are so ever grateful for for you doing the same. And I don't know, we have missed Nicola. I'm sure we'll have another program definitely where Nicola is joining us again. So thank you so much. Um I'm sure our audience have learned a lot from you, and I would like to welcome you to India uh, anytime soon, whenever everything falls into place, the right place. And would like to invite you to India, to Bangalore Pyramid Valley. uh, it's an amazing place where you will love it. It's nature, it's lush green. It's full of nature, full of beauty. So I would like to invite you to India. Whenever you come, please come, and we'll meet here and celebrate together.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so
How
much.
can I help you? How can I help you in any other way? Please let me know.
Definitely. We will be in touch with you, and we'll see how we can take this ahead. And we'll have more and more programs, and we'll have conducting more sessions. And we would love to hear more from you, and especially from Nicola also, because we have missed him this time.
Yeah. If you go on any of our profiles on Facebook or on my profile on Instagram, you will see we share recipes very often. We love to share our food, what we eat with people, and inspire them through that. And sometimes people just are out of ideas for the day. What are we supposed to eat? So we share a lot of our recipes, and maybe hopefully one day we will be able to also condense everything, maybe in a short booklet or something where people can simply check our profile or that little booklet and get ideas of what can be eaten.
Yes. We can actually take some videos while you are preparing the food. We
Huh?
can,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. We can actually, get those videos out of, because that is more like, getting hands-on experience of how to make the food. So that we can do in the future, definitely, very soon, very soon. So Madhu, can we please see you again, Madhu and Ram? Hello.
Hello, hi, Ka. Hi, Milena.
Hi, Milena. Hi, Ka.
Nice listening to you. Wonderful experiences. Very inspiring, as always.
Thank you.
Nice. It was so nice to hear you, Milena. And thanks a lot, Paryaka, for creating such a platform, bringing all these masters and giving us a chance to hear again their wisdom. So very happy.
And
Great.
thank you to both of you for bringing her into your life and thereby bringing her into this family. So this is such a wonderful, if I have to say, a reunion uh, kind of a thing where we all meet all the family members. So this is a
True. We are very
wonderful, wonderful,
fortunate.
wonderful program. Yes, definitely fortunate.
Fortunate that we have met Milena and Nicola here in Germany. We learned a lot of things from them. Lot particularly about these raw diet, and even they inspire us how they read books. Milena is a vivid book reader, keeps on suggesting nice books. So very fortunate. Thank you, Milena.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Milena.
well, I want to just share something very short. I was in a very disturbed place. The bus was empty. I was going to the hospital to my daughter, and Madhu sat next to me.
Wow.
And she opened the Pyramid Society magazine, and I turned towards her. I was with tears in my eyes. I was in a very bad place because my daughter died 2 weeks later, and I was so disturbed. And I turned to her, and she looked at me with a smile, and I said, "So, God sent you to me." And you know what she said? She said, "How can I help you?"
Right.
And that was the moment. And when Antonia died, I sent her a message, and she that was one of the most of the people were shocked. They were crying with us, the funeral, the whole mess. And Madhu sends me a message which gave me a new energy for life. And she said, "Well, be grateful that she chose you as a mother." And I said, "What? Be grateful? But you died." And this is the moment where I realized, wait a second, death is not end. Death is not an end. There is only love. The relationship does not end when the body is dead. And then I was like, wow, what a positive attitude towards life, to be thankful, because there's so many people who have never experienced the love and the compassion and the fun and the amazing times that we have had with our children, that I was like, yes, I should be thankful. There's so many people that do not have this.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. I'm getting goosebumps just hearing out that story. Oh my God, that's really amazing.
I've learned mercy, I've learned gratitude, and those are just one of the two main ingredients of love: mercy and gratitude and compassion for everybody else, including the animals, of course. You have to understand that I was very much afraid of animals, and I had in the past I had the feeling that you should kill these animals. And you know, my dad used to have a gun at home for hunting. We never went hunting, but it was a waking up journey, and one of the big stepping stones was getting to know Madhu and Ram.
Beautiful.
And everybody in India and everybody part of the Pyramid Society. I've known about the Pyramid Society before. This is why I addressed her in the first place in the bus. But I learned about the Pyramid Society in Macedonia, also from a very, very kind person and group of people generally. And it never developed into an idea that, first of all, it is the pyramids are related somehow. And I really hope now for my 40th birthday, which is in a month and a half, that we can go to the Bosnian pyramids together. I mean, I'm going. So whoever is coming to Bosnia on the 16th of April, I'll be in the pyramid inside. And that is the first big discovery, that the pyramids are so important. And the second biggest, or the primary path for me was the meditation, that it's absolutely necessary. And now I've noticed, if I don't do meditation, things don't go the right way. The whole day is lost. I mean, it's not lost. Something else is happening that could have been used in a much efficient way, on a much higher spiritual level. So I strongly urge everybody that you try meditation. There is nothing to lose. And people think, oh, I'm just going to waste time. No. You're gaining time. Meditation is gaining actually time, because you get into another speed of life.
Wow. Oh my God. So much to learn from her, Madhu. Seriously. So much to learn from her. She's already enlightened. She's like, she's enlightened being just, you know. She has taken birth on earth just to enlighten others. Yes, that is what it is. And absolutely amazing person. Thank you so much for introducing such an amazing person today. And I'm feeling very grateful to you, Milena. Thank you so much for being there for us. And just being you. You are wonderful. You are so beautiful inside, outside, everywhere. So thank you so much for just being you and sharing the you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Akka. Thank you, Milena.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow again for the day 17 of the plant-based challenge with Madhu.
Yes,
And
Akka. Let's do that.
we are going to talk a lot about everything. So stay tuned for the day 17. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.